Alrighty. So, like a lot of my most popular videos are the ones where I do music or whatever, and so of course I'm not doing that. Um, so I was asking God to flip me to this. I've done this in the past where I need some words of wisdom or whatever encouragement, wherever I'm at, I need some help. And I'm like, please, and I open it up right to where it's exactly what I need. So I was like, if I'm supposed to talk about this stuff again, um, let me open to something that's relevant to now. Open to Amos chapter 8. Um, Thus hath the Lord God showed unto me, and behold, a basket of summer fruit. And he said, Amos, what seest thou? And I said, a basket of summer fruit. Then said the Lord unto me, the end is come upon my people of Israel. I will not again pass by them any more. Passover. We just went through one. And the songs of the temple shall be howlings in that day, saith the Lord God. There shall be many dead bodies in every place. They shall cast them forth with silence. Hear this, O ye that swallow up the needy, even to make the poor of the land to fail, saying, when will the new moon be gone, that we may sow corn, and the Sabbath, that we may set forth wheat, making the ephah small, and the shekel great, and falsifying the balance by deceit. Didn't Trump just give himself ability to fudge the economy? Dealing falsely. Not by false weights, not by false measures, false scales. So that we may buy the poor for silver, and the needy for a pair of shoes. They're so desperate for shoes, they're willing to sell themselves to you. Silver, maybe sell those coins, like quarters, nickels. Yea, and sell the refuse of the wheat. The Lord has sworn by the excellency of Jacob, surely I will never forget any of their works. Shall not the land tremble for this, and every one mourn that dwelleth therein, and it shall rise up wholly as a flood. I didn't even know, when I named it, I just said into the flood again, because I was thinking about Lane Staley. Same old trip it was back then. I've got a reason for that. Soon come past the day, shall not the land tremble for this, and every one mourn that dwelleth therein, and it shall rise up wholly as a flood, and it shall be cast out and drowned, as by the flood of Egypt. There's proof that, if you look at this satellite of the Richshot, the eye of the Sahara, you can just see where it looks clearly, obviously, the water rushed. A huge amount of water rushed through. Now, what caused that? Tsunami, more than likely. I don't know exactly what caused that, but something probably pushed that. Actually, they had a volcano, so more than likely, and if you look, there's like a bowl, and there's like a fountain coming up. More than likely, it was once like Hawaii, and all that was around it was water, and so the top of it was just an island, because there's like huge amounts of water that be around it, and there's clear signs that it blew because it's got striation patterns it's like echoes of where it exploded out, and that pushed all that water that was in there against that side wall and then flushed it back out the other way, it would go to the lowest level, and you can watch it. Just, I mean, if you look at the path it's flowing, it just goes right down and right out to the Atlantic Ocean, right past Mauritania, right past Mauritania, the Richat, which could be considered the Atlantis. If you look at the description of the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, that's clearly the Mayan Incan civilization stretching all the way the Yucatan Peninsula. My supposition was, looking at the map, that perhaps while the Yucatan Peninsula probably blew and may have caused the second ice age, my hypothesis is that the Gulf of Mexico, being right there in the Ring of Fire, that was a super caldera back in the dinosaur days, and that blew, possibly expelling our moon into our atmosphere, into rotation above us. Let's see. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord God, that I will cause the sun to go down at noon, and I will darken the earth in the clear day, and I will turn your feasts into mourning, and all your songs into lamentation, and I will bring up sackcloth upon all loins, and baldness upon every head. I'm a head start. I gotta jump on that shit. And I'll make it as the morning of an only son, and the end thereof as a bitter day. Behold, the days come, saith the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord. And they shall wander from sea to sea, and from north even to the south, east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. In that day shall the fair virgins and young men faint for thirst. They that swear by the sin of Samaria, and say, Thy God, O Dan, liveth, and the manner of Beersheba liveth. Even they shall fall and never rise up again. So, see how much we can get through this. The universe is, even if there's a multiverse, that has to exist inside somewhere. So the ultimate thing has to be a universe that holds all those multiverses. That universe is a black hole that has swallowed up everything outside of it. What is outside of it? Nothing. What is nothing? God. Sheol. The blackness that, if you study anything about Hebrew, you should, they talk about Sheol. And it's basically blackness. When God says, and when the Bible says, when you die, you become as unthinking and as unfeeling as the dead. It's probably because your soul, your immortal soul, is supposed to go to Sheol and wait. So when you die, yes, it is instantaneous that you go to heaven, but who knows how much time on earth has passed between. Because when you die, oh no, and then the next thing, and it's the first resurrection or judgment day. You have no idea that they've invented satellites. You died in the West. You died in feudal Japan. You have no idea about fucking airplanes. Nor will you, necessarily. Because that's not what you're being woken up for. Was your soul good? Was your soul good to the rest of God? If you've done this to the least of me, you've done them to me. Why? Because God is everything. You go visit someone in jail, you visited God. If you mock someone in jail, you mocked God. You assault someone, you assault God. You insult someone, you insult God. God is, there is no human on the, it didn't say, and he looked at the earth and everything was good. And then the devil made some people. There are people that are not found in the book of life. What does that mean? Did the devil make some people? No. It means that some souls don't make the cut. The great reset that is coming. Starting everything over. We've got, imagine what we've gone through now as a load screen for a video game. We've got all the characters. We loaded all the stars and all the sky maps. We loaded all the universe and everything in the background. We loaded all the lights. We got all the lights working. Everything's up and running throughout the entire universe. And now we need to run just a simulation on this planet of whatever existence in this form. Could have been anything. Crabs, lobsters, fish, eagles, whatever. Chose this form. Let's make them like us. Maybe this is the evolution eventually without any of the physical limitations. Pure energy that can never die. It's pure energy. It's connected with the universe. And the universe is energy. So if you need to multiply and refract yourself 40, 50 times to build yourself more energy, where do you think fucking energy comes from? Energy. Energy times energy is fucking more energy. Energy squared. Right? Energy times energy is energy squared. Times 3 is energy fucking cubed. They say that if the Earth was a simulation, the computation power, there's not enough power in the universe to run a simulation of the Earth as we know it. I say bullshit. One, the Earth is here. And splitting an atom creates such a fucking big reaction, doesn't it? It's a lot of trapped up, pent up energy. So that means inside my body, however much you'd need for a fucking nuclear bomb or atomic bomb or whatever, my body's made up of atoms. They just haven't split. But the potential energy is there. Then my brain has the ability to think of things that are not even real. My hands have the ability to make those things as close to the reality I saw in my head. If it was an actual flying thing, I can make a model of the thing that I saw. It may not fly. Oh, so it's like a lizard, eagle, scorpion? Yeah. It's fucked up. Look at the bat wings. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I was expecting when you said flying, feathered wings, but no, the bat wings make it even more terrifying. What is this? I don't know. The same way I saw the Bruno, the snow fucking cats. I saw a map today. It was an old Roman map. The guy was kind of, he's obsessed with proving that the rickshaw, whatever, the Eye of the Sahara is the location of the city of Atlantis. I'm not disputing it. Everything lines up exactly the way he says it does, but he's missing a lot of stuff in the background there for that one pursuit. If he kept his eyes open, there's a lot of stuff. Like there's some pages on some stuff on the page, and I actually read all the stuff that was on the page. He just circled one thing that he wanted to prove. They say there's huge gold mines in Africa. They don't know how it was done. It was done with advanced technology, yada, 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 big, huge mines. Well, Mansa Musa, or however you pronounce his name, supposedly had so much fucking gold that he was wealthier than any person that's ever lived. Now, was he actually black African, Was he more Egyptian African? Was he more Libyan African? I don't fucking know. It's up near the area, not sub-Saharan. It's more up to the top. Now, at the time, there was supposedly, according to the map, there's a guy, it's a verified map from the time. There's a river going through the Sahara and some other bodies of water that are not there now. The Sahara is not, it's not arid. It's green, it's lush. There's just tons of stuff that's just like, and if you think about a huge tsunami that was that big, if there was sand at the bottom and or salt water, that would salt the earth basically on its way out. What's going to happen? Desert. If the whole moving the water, that much water didn't just drag a shit ton of fucking sand. I mean, the bottom of a beach is sand. So this huge, it's pushing all this water. It's going to be dragging up all that. It's going to be muddy, nasty water. And when when the water recedes out into the Atlantic, it's going to leave behind just a trail of and you can actually see it. Look up Eye of the Sahara. From like a satellite, you can actually see the water, the way it flowed from this. It would be like a weird kind of thing, and then went down by the Eye of Sahara and out. You can see the water draining out into the silt deposits. There's a lot of shit that's being uncovered. Like I said, I didn't know the Hanging Gardens of Babylon were lost. So otherwise, I would have been looking for them before. As soon as I found out they were like a lost one of the world, I'm like, oh well, shit. Let me see what I can do. And they started describing it. I was like, as soon as I got the first description, it's like step pyramids. I'm like, the Mayan, the Incas. Go fuck yourself. They're not lost. You just don't want to believe that they're an advanced species, because that goes against everything you've been teaching about brutal slaying. Maybe they weren't brutal slayings, nor were they worried about the sun being eaten by the moon, since they had more precise calendars than we have and better study of the stars. Maybe they're fertilizing the gardens. The Hanging Gardens, they need fertilizer. Don't they? So as you're getting older, or you volunteer for it. It's an honor to die for the gardens, because there's a whole complex. Times of war, they bring the bodies and fucking bury the bodies in the fucking garden, and it just keeps getting more and more lush. Trees and vines and fucking all kinds, and now what is covering all of that Incan ruins? Vines, trees. Look at the Aztec, the fucking in Mexico. Let's see if I can find it. That's the actual picture that actually it'll illustrate it perfectly. I saw it. My mom posted something yesterday. So either probably by June 14th, especially if there is the No Kings marches like they were talking about, he's gonna lose his shit, man. Trump's gonna lose his shit. This was like 700 protests around the fucking country, if not more. Yeah. Where the fuck is this picture? I liked it just the other day. I thought I shared it. I might have downloaded it. Let's see if I can find it from my mom's page. I don't think she posts a lot of stuff. Well, these are all old. What's that? Maybe she just liked it and it showed on her page. Oh well, it shows. I mean, you can pull. Let me pull up the. Images. Step pyramids that had plants growing out. They look like hills, and they were so big you could not see the. Crap, man! I'm sorry. I'm finding some more pictures. You couldn't see the support beams. Now that doesn't sound like this because there are no plants growing there besides grass and the vines that buried it, like in here. And this gives exact why it's possible. I'm opening these in bigger tabs so you can see them all. We're going to go on a trip today. Before we do that, how many churchgoers have you heard, for it's not flesh and blood that we battle against, but principalities? And that's so true. So the principle of the matter is more important than fighting the flesh and blood. Yes, amen. So why the fuck are you letting a rapist lead you? It's the principle of the thing. It's the principle of the whole fucking thing. Why would you do that? Okay, why would you let a felon? Okay, I mean, if it's a principle of the thing, why do you have no principles? You have no moral standing as long as you win. That's not standing on your principles. That's heads I win, tails you lose. So, as you can see, imagine this. Especially that right there, you see that little trough? It'd be filled with dirt and then plants growing over the edges. If there are plants growing along here, trees growing out of this. Huge trees. Plants dripping down the sides of this shit. All along up here. Okay? Now, grass. How hard would it be for them to keep growing where it's just growing and coming over this and just spilling, vines are just spilling down this. You can't even see the pillars holding it up. Weathering has made it look this bad, and so is like age and whatever, but this could easily be gardening area. This is all, look at all the grass here. All the grass here. And how many of these were buried under fucking vegetation? They had to uncover. How many more are buried underneath there? That wouldn't that, when you get the whole network uncovered, wouldn't that be a fucking wonder of the world? How the fuck, I wonder how they got Machu Picchu built. How they got this shit built. How they do that. Look, these terraces would have plants pouring off of them. Going up these stairs would not be this stony path. It would be a lush, fertile look. Maybe at the top of this having plants and trees and shit growing out of it. Step pyramids. Let's look up a definition, description. Hanging gardens. Take a look at what they say. Look at that picture. Oh, step pyramids and all this shit. Yeah, yeah. Alright, so let's get out of that. We're one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. They were described as remarkable feat of engineering with ascending series of tiered gardens and contained a wide variety of trees, shrubs, and vines resembling a large green mountain Constructed of mud bricks, it was said to have been built in the ancient city of Babylon. They say near present day hill above. You don't know that. That could be the new Neo-Babylon. The Hanging Garden's name is derived from the Greek word grimostos, overhanging, which has a broader meaning than the modern English word hanging. It refers to trees being planted on a raised structure such as a terrace. They're built alongside a grand palace known as the Marvel of Mankind by the Neo-Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar, who ruled between 605 for his Median wife, Queen Amytis, because she missed the green hills and valleys of her homeland. This is attested to by the Babylonian priest Berosus, writing in about 290 BC, a description that was later quoted by Josephus. The construction of the Hanging Gardens has also been attributed to the legendary Queen Semiramis, and they have been called the Hanging Gardens of Semiramis as an alternative name. No extant Babylonian texts mention the gardens, and no definitive archaeological evidence has been found in Babylon. 3 theories have been suggested. First, the gardens are purely mythical. Yeah, now that they exist in Maya in Mexico. The descriptions found in ancient Greek and Roman writings include those of Strabo Diodorus, because he used some fucking whatever, and Quintus Curtius Rufus, represented a romantic ideal of Eastern Garden. Second, that they existed in Babylon but were destroyed sometime around the 1st century. And third, that the legend refers to a well-documented garden of the Syrian king Sennacherib, built in his capital of Nineveh on the river Tigris near modern-day Mosul. Or it's in South America. Just an idea. So let's go back to looking at the tiered. Yeah, it'd be easy to, yeah. Especially since they're covered in vines and shrubs and bushes. Look like a mountain. If this had vines and shit growing all on the side. If they're mud brick, if this was brick and it had mud covering it so they could plant shit on it, it would look like, then the mud washes away with time because, or that's what that shit was growing out of here, and they're like, okay, we gotta clear this out. Man, look at how much shit's on this. No, that's how it was. That's how it was. It just wasn't a well-kept garden after they fucking left. So the universe being inside of a supermassive black hole would allow for singularity that would allow for anything. If our timeline is ever expanding, then the inverse of our timeline, universe inverse, the inverse of our timeline would be ever shrinking. So this ever growing is feeding into this ever shrinking, and that ever shrinking is feeding into the ever growing. As it shrinks, it needs to get rid of its stuff. It feeds that into the ever growing. The ever growing is constantly growing, and so it feeds from the ever shrinking. Matched and equal, equilibrium. Balance. Positive and negative. And they have to match because they are equal. Like I said, think of it as watching a movie. You can't watch a movie forward, and then when you go to rewind the tape, take it back to the store, rewind it and see a totally different movie. If you watch the rewind, you will watch the exact movie rewinding backwards. So that's negative time. They're undoing all the plots. In their world, entropy would be the ever-eventual constriction, not the eventual creation of our start. And ours is the ever-creation of the eventual ever-shrinking. Therefore, all things are within the singularity of a black hole. The scientists are always saying, basically, like I've heard from a lot of people, grant us one miracle and we'll explain the rest. Black hole. There's your miracle. Singularity. It would be able to warp time and space. You could enter in it, go in fucking 5,000 years, come out 1 second later. The space-time dilation at the edge of it could actually explain how we experience time at all. But it also means that our consciousness would need to be outside, probably alive and active in Sheol, basically sleeping and dreaming. Because how can we observe? Right? This is the tool that's used to observe. But what's observing that? That gives you the thoughts to say, that gives you the movements to do, the muscle memory to remember all this shit. In your brain? Well, then what's regulating all your heart and shit? It all does it there? That's a lot of fucking power. It's a lot of memory. A lot of strength. Now, if all of us were using our brains, and reality is this shared experience that we have, explain why we have someone with the reality that Obamacare and Affordable Care Act are different things. You plug in misinformation and suddenly your entire worldview has changed. All those people are pedophiles. Meanwhile, the people you're voting for are awful silent about not releasing the Epstein files. Aren't they? All the ones that are just following in line with what Trump says. His horrible, horrible ideas. Republicans are really good at marking but not getting shit done. Democrats are really good at getting shit done but not marketing. Together they could get shit done and market it correctly. So instead, Republicans knowing this, do nothing, let the Democrats get shit done, and know that they're not going to fucking take credit for it. Why does Trump want a big, beautiful bill? To cover for the fact that Build Back Better is about to kick in. All the stuff passed by, and so that way it seems like as soon as he passed this new big beautiful bill, this explosion of things that happened that were already passed and slated to happen then, and then he gets to take credit for it. Just the way that Ronald Reagan, Jimmy Carter negotiated the release of those hostages. The no-good peanut farmer that never did anything good for America was a terrible fucking whatever, and Reagan was so great. All he did was greet them. Jimmy Carter arranged for everything, and like a true Christian, rather than taking the fucking spike in the ball, Reagan's the president now. Greet them and bring them in, and everybody goes, oh my God, he's been in office for, what, a week, and he's already got the, what did you do? Got them released. I just didn't take credit for it. Now I'm going to go build homes for the poor. Loser. You should be building $1 million condos for the rich. How much money are you going to make building homes for the poor? None. That's how much. What a fucking loser. I wonder how many times he went into his own pocket from that $400,000 a year that he gets for being president. How much we short? All right. He had a couple books that sold very well. Had one wife. But that makes him a loser, right? Because if he was a real man, he'd have at least 3, 4, 5 of y'all cheated on all of them. Because that's what real men do, right, guys? They can't keep it in their fucking pants. Real men have to spread their seed everywhere. If you commit to one woman, you're just a fag, man. You're just a pussy. What is wrong with you? Do you even have a dick? What, are you gay? No, I just know what I like. That popped nicely. So, got another appointment tomorrow. It's 11:11. Make a wish. You can't go ahead. I don't care. But yeah, man. It's the other thing about that map. That old ass map. It was drawn by a Roman person, a person from Rome. I can't remember his name, but it's been authenticated as real. Well drawn, well looked. I mean, it's a great map. I would say that he could hardly be mistaken about what he saw as he's drawing these maps, because it didn't include everything. It just included where he had kind of been. The interesting thing is, he had north to south, where east to west should be, and east to west where north to south should be. So just like my book in Unia, he had the sun rising in the south and setting in the north. Just like my book. And as I said, if you were to be dropped on the planet Unia, you could have your compass all day long, and yours would say the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, but you'd be the only fucking person, because everybody else there would go, I don't know what the fucking place Earth is, but you're on Unia, bitch. That's the south. That's where the sun's rising from. You can keep arguing that you're right, but it's one person that's against this entire planet. And all of our compasses are right. Maybe your compass is broken. I don't know about this fucking Earth place you keep fucking talking about. You're on Unia, motherfucker. So it's just very weird, very interesting. If you want to find more about Atlantis, there's a lot of stuff about Eye of the Sahara. More like the stuff that I saw today. It's just kind of a little bit too much to kind of pass off, because that sets the clock back for humans, because it means there's a whole Atlantean. It kind of just explains the... Look how far we've come in 2025 years. Now let's say that within 4,500 years ago, they had the pyramids built. So let's say they had another 3,000 years before that at least to get the technology together. So our time that we've had so far, plus another 1,000 years before a huge cataclysm basically came through and wiped out that entire area, leaving the pyramids still standing because they're big as shit. Leaving the Eye of the Sahara, the base, still there. But wiping any buildings and shit straight into the ocean. Huge. You should see it. It's fucking huge. It's a huge deluge. You can see exactly what would have happened. You can imagine, like, looking over and seeing, like, I mean, it would have been huge. It would have been fast. It would have been... You would have just heard a... from the fucking volcano. And from around that area, you can hear this rush. You'd hear it. That's how much water. It would be so much water you'd have to zoom out into a fucking full-on look of Africa to see exactly how much water was swishing across and then down. Take a look at it. It's fucking huge. And then you can go, God damn. Like, yeah. It's fucking huge. Why is Africa and why are they so lined up, and there are people there whose description of tanness and whatever kind of matches more to the Middle East than to Asia, where they supposedly came from. Maybe those continents were closer together, and maybe it happened a lot fucking faster than what you guys are saying, but you won't accept that. On top of that, there's this great reset, ADBC. Suddenly, we've only been here for 2,025 years, not the 5,700 that the Jews say. Why are you afraid of starting with that somewhere? What if like Noah survived, thought he was the only one? Because it's one thing about that map today I saw. It said map of the habitable world. So as far as they knew, that was everything that was habitable. So if that got flooded, that was just that little basic little sea cup from fucking Egypt, Italy, all the way down to the Straits of Gibraltar, you know what I mean? That was their entire fucking shit. Maybe a little bit that way towards like Iraq and shit. So if that got flooded, because it would have had to start somewhere back when we kind of explained the Middle East. If the Middle East was like the promised land, it's just covered in fucking sand right now. Wash that shit the fuck off of there, and you know, it goes back to being a fertile, lush land. Or on the backside of the reset, and just start all over again. As I said, we've already got birds. All the systems are working now. Now we just each time we go through this, it refines itself. First time was light. Second time was fucking solid. Then, you know, liquid. Then fucking life. Primitive kind of small life. Fish. Starting with fish and birds first. Interesting. Same shit scientists are saying. This life started in the ocean. Same thing you're saying. And then if you think about it, this around us, this air, is a liquid. A very, very thin liquid that we call a gas. But make no mistake, if you were here and I went, you'd feel it. The wind. But what is that pushing against me then? What is the remnants of my push? How can you feel that? Because it's moving other things out of the fucking way. That gas is being pushed, and then so we breathe just like we were when we were younger. We breathe a thick liquid. We came out into the real world. Breathe a thin liquid, oxygen-rich environment. As far as trans people, one, nothing else. They are human. Okay, can we start there? Just like you, just like me, just like people with plugs in their ears, just like people that go to the rodeo, wear big ass fucking belt buckles and listen to country music, reminds them about their childhood so they can cry. in their truck. People do weird shit, man. Some go to church, some don't. Some wear cock rings, some don't. Some wear socks when they have sex, some don't. No one owes you anything to conform to what you want them to be. Life is much better by having variety in it. You know, I mean, to go back and look at some of those pictures from like the whatever, bowler hats on every fucking person. Or whatever the next fashion was, every person. Whatever the suits were, every person. That's, again, with the singularity, if it was going back and starting over, not necessarily even generationally, but kind of era style, when there's a big catastrophe, it restarts the whole thing, and then we do all this all over again, and we just keep, it doesn't rhyme, it actually is literally repeating itself, just in different costumes. God said, behold, I do something new. If that was one thing, I refer to it as the deja vu that wasn't. Because I long held that if humans get into a pattern, and that pattern of your behavior dictates your reactions and actions to the stimuli of life. Life happens to you. How you respond to it is how you fit into the world. Troublemaker, problem solver, brat, whatever you are. It's how you deal with outside stimuli called the world. Internalize it, externalize it, whatever it is. That's you. Then it's up to the universe to decide if it needs that. I see the purpose of it, but I don't need so many. What about the cheater? No, don't need them. That hurts really bad, and it fucks up people's trust, and that fucks up their relationships later on, and that just really fucks up people. No. People that are in open relationships, sure, but because they know, and you know what's going on when you go into the fucking thing. Different. People that just anything that fucks up trust. Because then you become suspicious of everything else from that point on. That's no way to live life. Not the life we want to live anyways. Life's supposed to be open, so open and honest that he can take off the blocking between our brains so that we can actually communicate by telepathy again. There was no need of a universal language. I mean, the sounds were just confirmation that I, Amanda, no. Dogs communicate this way. If you actually watch their behavior and whatever, they're talking, they're saying, they're having thoughts, and they'll tell you everything they want to know about what they're thinking and what they're doing. Cats, same thing. It may be a little bit lower station of things like, I'm hungry. No, I'm really hungry, dude. It's good to see you. I'm hungry. Can you give me something to eat? Can you get them to give me something to eat? Right. Will you scratch my ears then? Put their head on your lap, just... No problem. That's what I learned. So a lot of these dogs around here that are barking in the winter, they're not barking. If you look, their tails are wagging. And they won't really look at you. They usually often look away and then look at the house. They want to get back inside. They've already done their business, and the person inside is all warm and comfy and go, the fuck is that dog barking about? Oh, fuck, it's cold out there. Because a lot of people just open the door and let them out and pee. And then, of course, they don't do it all at one time, because sometimes they don't. Come inside, and we just, this family member we love so much has to go stand out in the snow, pee. Like you can make grandma do. These are wild animals, man. We gotta stop trying to substitute. The fact that you try and substitute proves why you don't have one. I'm sorry, but it does. Because there is no substitute. Your love is selfish. You want it for you. It'd be better that you didn't even want one at all, and then you got it and fell in love. That would be better than to want to do this and to that, and we're going to do this, and you already got plans for this thing that has its own set of thoughts. I'm going to dress her up and so I always wanted to name my daughter Xyana Gaberly. That's a cool name. Xyana. Gabreleigh. Xyana Gaberly Battle. Gabby, Zy, Anna, L. She has a ton of names that you could go by, XG. Yeah, I really didn't have a lot of choices with my name, so my middle name's like Lyell. Again, translated, put into Google Translation is the. Lyell. The. I asked my mom, she says, means, and she sent back the definition of God. I don't know. But I do know that there are two plans that are being tried to be worked right now, and neither one's going to work. Not the way they think. It'll look like they did. Because if I'm right, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon would be in Mexico. Mexico on the old maps extended all the way into the United States. So, the United States would be Babylon. The whore that committed fornication with the whole world. Drunk on the blood of the saints. She says, I am a queen and know no king. Well, we had a king, moved here. Now she's Lady Liberty. I know no king. There's something more. I think it's also said, in pain will not visit me. I could be making that up. I don't remember. But I want to say that it was saying something. Marriage of the Lamb. Saints rejoice. Babylon's fall lamented. There we go. We're getting close. fall of Babylon. Of the things I saw an angel come down from heaven having great power, and the earth was lighted with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, that ye receive not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much she saith glorified herself, and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Just like I said, America, we are exceptional. Rome fell. Other people fell. We won't fall. You don't bomb us, we bomb you. Well, we're always prosperous because we always win. We're United States, we're number one. We're never coming number two. We will never know sorrow. We'll always have full bellies and... Well, at least we're the richest country, so being poor here is still better than being poor there. But would I be poor there? That's the question. I get I'm poor here, but does that mean that's because nothing I do here is valued by you guys, because I don't fit into any of your fucking boxes. Maybe if I was over there, people would value what I have to do, and then I wouldn't be poor at all. In fact, I could probably help them. They might be actually willing to listen to a way to help make things more efficient. Unlike you guys. You thrive on the lack of efficiency because it costs more money, which you can then charge in billable hours. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. Sounds like a volcano going off. Right? Like a super volcano, like Yellowstone. Raining all that hot shit back down on the ground. Have you seen the fallout zone of if have you seen how many volcanoes are actually getting active? As I said in the past, if they find, let's say the thing is kind of pushing up against there, right? Let's just use our imagination, because apparently they're all connected by tubes, right? There's a bunch of magma chambers going to the core, right? That's where it all comes from. Okay, so in a system of pressure, if you had something pushing against the super caldera thing, and it wasn't quite all the way, but it was a bubble, and it hit that and started pushing into the top, and then eventually the air bursts. Now there's a big cavity, and that would allow all that pressure to stop pushing on all those other things and rush in. All those other ones, the ones in Kilauea, all those other fucking ones are going off right now. They're all connected. All of a sudden there's a big, huge pressure drop. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but imagine. We have a couple of supervolcanoes here. Mount Rainier, Mount St. Helens, we got several ones. We got the even Crater Lake. Right to our south, the Yucatan Peninsula supposedly went off and fucking, the impact's there. What if that's not an impact? What if that's a volcano? Crater Lake is called Crater Lake because it looked like a crater impact from a fucking meteor. It's not. It's a volcano. It's a caldera. So if that's exactly what happened, I don't know. I wasn't there, and at least I'm not saying this is what happened 14,000 years ago. I know. I'm bearing false witness. 4 million years ago. Now, 40 million years before that, the planet looked totally different. Tell me more, Grandpa. Were you there for it? What else happened, Grandpa? You see, the sky was raining acid. Was it? Tell us more. Because now I feel like I'm educated. I feel like I know things. Listening to your story. Well, on the outside, you have the crust. Okay? Below that, you have the mantle. Okay? Then you have the outer core. Okay? And you have the inner core. Okay? You like to see a picture? Sure. Why is it a cartoon? Oh, we've never dug more than... To see the crust? Yeah, we've never dug more than this. So how do you know any of that shit's down there? We know. How? We've done tests. We've run theories. They all say the same thing. And how do you know that carbon breaks down at a steady rate for more than whatever the oldest things you have that you can definitely date the actual, the year, like it's got documentation of the year it was? Okay, so that's the latest that you can. That's where you start, and that's as far as you can date back. Anything before that is supposition. You have no idea if the day after that day, the entire integrity just crumbles apart, looking like fucking 50 million years. You don't know. Not enough time has passed. Now, if you keep an eye on that day and keep moving from there, eventually you'll have enough to know how long. Oh shit, yeah, fucking... Okay, it's starting to accelerate a little bit. Okay, yeah, it just fell apart. Like I said, like a house. Left unattended. It'll hold the shape. Even as holes busting the side, as the roof kind of falls in on the inside and whatever, it will hold the shape. And hold the look. But it is fucking completely rotted out. Then one day the wrong wind and poof, the whole thing fucking collapses. Now if you judge on the fact that it would only drop 1 inch per year, it would look like that thing took fucking decades to fall. And that's what you're doing. We can see by the wood here. We've watched this wood decay for 4 years. So far it's been steady, so there's no reason to believe weather or any other things like that would change. Oh yeah, it could change that, couldn't it? Yeah, it could wash out some of it. It could dilute things. Well, if it added more carbon. Oh yeah, because, yeah. Like if you died in a plant-based shit, yeah, like would that absorb into? I don't know. I don't know. Have we tested that? I don't think so. Here's the thing about the double slit experiment. When you introduce an observer, it no longer acts like that. Really? What was observing the slit experiment the first time? Oh, the detector. So you had an observer, it didn't have a lens. Maybe the lens. You see that? Let's see if I can get this. See that light on my eye? That's reflecting to you. Can you see the light? Can you see it? Okay, so if that's happening even on a video camera lens or any kind of lens, not only the particles going this way, but there's going to be a light beam going this way, which is going to knock some of them out of the fucking way. Fucking stupid. The goddamn recorder of the fucking thing is an observer! How else did you get the data? You're just sending it off into nothing? Then how do you know what happened? How do you know what happened without an observer there to observe it? We had test machine. Oh, yeah, that would be a silent observer. Yeah, it would be a silent observer. So your whole bringing an observer falls right the fuck apart. You clever, clever humans. If nothing else, if you're talking about quantum entanglement, it would have to deal with the fact that there's a new entanglement to deal with. In fact, like when it's going to be there, if it's going to move, and when it's gone. If your quantum entanglement theories are correct, it knows. So it has to move itself around what that entanglement also is. Well, there was 2 candles in the room. About a 3rd candle in there. It got brighter. Really, something changed when you introduced something new. Tell me more, Grandpa. Did you also turn on a light and then the room stopped being dark? What about when you eat? Did you stop being hungry? I think something's afoot here. Look, we changed the experiment. Different results. That never happens. Consider without the observer, the placebo. The observer is the real medication. The deja vu that wasn't. If you change something in your behavior, as I said before, you get into habits, and those habits form who you're going to be. So therefore, if you get into these habits and you don't change in those, that means that you're going to respond to the same things the same way. Like if you have a hard time saying no, and someone says you want coffee, you're probably going to take it. Can you help me? You're probably going to say yes. So your future's already kind of written, see? So in order to change that, you would have to do, I figured, 3 things completely out of the ordinary. It could not be pre-planned in any way, because then that's already, see, kind of quantumly entangled. It has to be completely out of the ordinary. It has to, when you feel the fucking thing to do it, do it. Scream in the middle of the store. Whatever the fuck it is that you would normally not do, do it. 3 of them. 1 for the past, 1 for the present, and lock it in for 1 for the future. After I did it, I had a dream that I was still working at the place I was working at, but I didn't, it was a deja vu. I was working at the same place, but in a different part of the place that I knew of, but I never been back there. But when I eventually did go back there, it looked exactly like my dream. Basically, they shift me from the putting the shit into the, you're putting forks and knives and shit into the, to be zipped up for the going sent off to McDonald's and those other things like Solo cups and shit, and they put me on the mold injection that actually comes off. No, and like I said, in the deja vu that wasn't, this day I was sitting there and I was like, whoa, and I had the whole thing, I could see it as, whoa, deja vu, but it was in the back. It was fucking weird. It's fucking weird. And then, so yeah. So I think it worked. That's the thing with seeing the future and knowing the future. Hell, having been to and knowing for sure how things are going to go. Because you know. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, he says that. 5, 4, 3, 2, he's going to cough. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that baby's going to cry. I've done this 75 fucking times. That baby always cries. This is new. I don't even know what this is. I've seen, like Groundhog's Day, I've seen this up until that point. Okay, maybe I'm not who I thought I was. Because I've seen this whole thing 75 times and that fucking baby always cries. Oh, one can never know. One can only knew. Knew it. Knew it. We're right on time. Knew it. Okay. Okay. We're right on time. Alright, we're right on time. So that whole thing about Babylon, it's chapter 18. In Revelation, there's only 22 chapters. And standing afar off, and the kings of the earth who have committed fornication, live deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament for her when they shall see the smoke of her torment, for burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, there it is, torment, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, the mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. And cinnamon, and odors, and ointments, and frankincense, and wine, and oil, and fine flour, and wheat, and beasts, and sheep, and horses, and chariots, cars, and slaves, and souls of men. What's that talking about? Trafficking or something like that? Let's see if I can find an aerial shot of it in Washington, D.C., because some people probably don't believe it, and this is an interesting fact of the place you go. Here's one thing I was thinking of. In order to make a pentagram, you need a pentagon. Because a pentagon is just a pentagram without the spikes. Here we go, Washington, D.C. map. Maps. Here we go. Let's see if we can go to real look. Satellite. No. Where's 1600 Pennsylvania? Lincoln Park, Stanton Park, Sherwood, Trinidad. We're getting close. There it is. See it. Anyone care to tell me one, two, bam, 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 bam. So there's a pentagon right here. 5. This would come down, connect right there. Horn, 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 White House. Anyone want to explain that? Then there's the ellipse and the obelisk of the Washington Monument. Straight down from that. Well, a little bit off to the right, isn't it? With the infinity sign there. You see that? Right, coincidence, I'm sure. I'm sure it's all just a bunch of coincidence. That the pentagram points to the very tip the White House. Make a straight line from this dot to that dot, and you've got a line right there. There's a pentagram, pentagon, point, 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 point down at the White House. You sure America's the good guy? Hang on, where was Pentagon? Why a pentagon? Is it more strong? You know, so they can withstand all the attacks it's taking? Oh wait, it's only been attacked once and they got through. No, not that. Why a pentagram? Sorry, a pentagon. I like to see it from the sky. Can we get a picture of the map? Where's northwest, southeast, all that good shizzing? Yeah, they put it that way. So I guess it's facing towards the White House. Pentagon. You guys sure? Because if you see kids walking around with pentagons and pentagrams on, you lose your fucking minds, don't you, Christians? But when your government is seated at the whole fucking beard of Satan, you have nothing to say besides how God and these people are exactly the same. One's telling you shall have no other God. The other one's saying pick any God you want. One's saying do not kill. The other one's saying fuck that, dude. Here's your gun. No one can take this God-given right away from you. Get the fuck out of here. That's not how pentagram. You at least do it right. Yeah, they got a bigger one out there. Oh, maybe there's another pentagram inside of a pentagram. I don't know. It looks like, yeah. Looks like there may be another one inside here. Yeah, there would be, wouldn't it? But there's one inside there too. Fuck, man. That's why I say, even the good people in America, if you believe America is on the side of good, you've been taken in by the devil. You've been lied to, you've been tricked, and you are now fighting to keep the system of hatred going. Babylon, the mystery, the whore, come out of her. And the fruits that thy soul lusteth after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things, which were made rich by her, shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen, and purple and scarlet, and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught. And every shipmaster, and all the company in the ships, and sailors, and as many as trade by sea, stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, the great city, wherein we were made rich, all the ships in the sea by reason of her coastline. Oh, costliness. I thought I said coastlines, but costliness. For 1 hour is she made desolate. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets. I can feel the sorrow from some of those motherfuckers out. Somebody's feeling like, oh no, fuck this place. That's what he's saying. Fuck this place. Come out of her lest you share. That's why Lot's wife was turned to salt. Because she belongs back there. The reason why Lot kept moving and they didn't care. They didn't give a shit. She at least went, my friend or my lover. And looked back with pity. My friends. I know God hates them, but they're my friends. Fuck them. God says don't look back. I'm not looking back. And the mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city, Babylon, be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. Is that an asteroid strike hitting the ocean? Is it what we're saying? That's how it's going to go out. Or like with the water explosion, the waves coming over and shit. I don't know. And the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee. And the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. For thy sorceries were all nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that were slain upon the earth. So in other words, all the dirt that America's done. Killing JFK, killing MLK, killing RFK. Probably killing Marilyn Monroe. If someone had like a dead man trigger. You know what I mean? They're bribing someone with a dead man trigger. I'm not expecting the world to end, or their world to end. You're not expecting America to go bye-bye. All their information is dumped. The Epstein files. By your sorceries. Science and the things that we did. We tried to convince everybody there's no God. Sorceries are usually actually just illusions. There's not really magic. Sleight of hand. Distraction. If we did fake the moon landing with the clever use of robotics and filming, that'd be wrong. It'd be dirty. I'll explain why we haven't been back. Especially with the cameras much better now. just on and on, from trying to create it. What they were trying to create with AI is something that can give them all the answers that they don't have. Come with a problem and it can solve it. You wanted God. You just wanted God to answer to you. Because in virtuality, it can do anything. I mean, it can do anything. It can simulate life. It can simulate gravitational pulls. It can do anything. But it's not real. And the smoke rose up forever and ever. Like a lot of people recorded it. Probably be used as a cautionary tale, especially if they had. Especially depending on how big it was. I mean, if it was like a Yellowstone type thing. And or Putin wants Ukraine so he can get his hands on the nuclear shit he wants, because Chernobyl was there. He's KGB. By bringing in Georgia and those other things and getting Ukraine last, it doesn't seem like this is his first goal. They say he's a master manipulator. So that's what he would do. It's not really important. However, it's vitally important, especially if he has hypersonic missiles and nothing to attach to the tip. Tell you what, Ukraine, why don't we talk? No America. I said it a while back. Why don't we talk? No America. You guys are hella fucking fighters, man. No, I'll cease fire. I need access to this building here. Remember how that guy, I mean, they shit on you in the White House? Yeah. Rather disrespectful, wasn't it? Try to make you beg. Probably trying to make you beg so they can sit there and say you to your face, no, after you fucking sat there and groveled. Tell me if there's anything that would get him off more than that. Talk about a season finale. This is going to make great television. But, yeah. Oh, shit, we're at an hour and 30 minutes. Trying to decide if I should bail out. Keep rolling. It's 1:28. I gotta get up at like 8 o'clock in the morning, so I'm gonna head out. Hope it was entertaining or whatever, man. No. Have a good one. Any fucking time, any fucking day. Learn to swim. See you down in Arizona.